Hi, I'm Councilwoman Jane Bonner.
And I'm Bill Reitzig from War on Addiction.
And I'm Stephen Miller from Hope House Ministries.
And we're here today to talk about the War on Addiction, and this year we're hosting it at the Amphitheater. And Bill, why don't you talk a little bit about how we're going to do things differently this year for the third one?
Well, this is, as you said, our third year. Our first year, we did a Hope Walk at Mount Sinai Beach, which was well attended. Last year, we did a War on Addiction rally at the Amphitheater, close to 1,000 people. And this year, we're making a big change. We're actually hooking on with the 4th of July Town of Brookhaven fireworks for July 4th, Thursday, from 5:30 at the Amphitheater, from 5:30 to 9:30 at night. And we're going to do try to do a lot of educational PSAs, those type of War on Addiction and addiction kind of education for everyone, for families.
Because this year it's a different approach, and we talked about it because the War on Addiction itself has evolved, and I think that the approach this year is to meet a different audience that we generally don't get to meet or educate regarding addiction.
That's correct. In the past, this event's attracted about 15,000 people a year. You're looking at a free concerts, family event, and then followed by the fireworks where they close highway, the Road 83. It's a tremendous event. And the families that are going to be there, while everyone's kind of heard of addiction problems, not only on Long Island, but nationally, I think it's important that we keep pounding that into people's brains. And as parents gain a little bit more knowledge and children learn a little bit more and exposed to more, that they're educated on War on Addiction.
Why don't you talk a little bit about what led you to create this not-for-profit and where your heart lies with the education and where the money that goes to the War on Addiction, and then we can talk to Steve and hear his story as well.
Sure. As many people know, we've been doing this a few years. My son passed away back in April 22nd, 2016 from a first-time overdose with heroin. He had an issue with pain pills prior to that, from a sports injury, a shoulder injury, and it evolved, and it was tough road, and it's tough for so many people. And so he struggled, went through rehab, and finally wound up with an outpatient at Hope House Ministries in Port Jeff, and Father Frank and the entire group up there just do a tremendous job.
He's legendary.
Unbelievable.
The lives that he saved.
Yeah, and so Billy was there and had a bad day, as I said, on April 22nd, 2016, and passed away. So we felt as a family we were not going to bury our heads in the sand. We were going to try to be proactive, try to raise funds for Hope House, try to educate, and some policy changes at state level and so forth. And in the 3 years, we've raised a little over $100,000 for Hope House.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's a true testament to you and your family that out of the depths of despair, you have taken that sadness and loss and pain and turned it into something so positive.
I cry every day, miss him every day. So it's just something you just you get to a point where it's a way of life. So you just keep plugging away.
And it's amazing. It really is. I mean, your heart is so huge.
Yeah. As a dad, we were quite close, but I can't imagine for all the moms out there how it is to carry a baby and then have an issue 25 years later.
I can't even imagine either. So Steve, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your contribution to this? Father Frank said that you would be awesome here, so here you are.
I hope I can live up to that. So my journey started, I came from a great family, mother, father, 2 younger sisters, was a good student, and then I drank a little bit here and there, never got into anything, and then I started...
The typical experimentation.
Yes, exactly. And then I started working construction, and unfortunately I was injured. I had 5,000 pounds of steel dropped on my leg, so I suffered a bad compound fracture of my right leg. And then from there, it was a journey about 5 years long that lasted with countless endless procedures, doctor's visits, and unfortunately pain medication. And I was on that for about 4 years. My life literally just started depleting. You know, it took basically the person I was away step by step, and my family was there the whole way for that. And then in 2014, I was lucky enough, I was arrested. Because after a while, the pain medication, my doctor stopped giving it to me, and I resorted to using heroin.
Because you were already addicted.
I was already addicted at that point. And getting arrested was actually the thing that saved my life. It really was.
I've heard that.
It was
Other people have
something
told me that.
I used to be embarrassed about and never wanted to talk about. And because of getting arrested, my family knew somebody who knew of Father Frank and Hope House Ministries, and he took a chance on me. He vouched for me with the judge, with the district attorney in Nassau County, and they gave me a shot to come out to Hope House. You know, I had no idea what I was walking into. I didn't know anything about the place. I didn't know anything about Port Jefferson in general.
Because you grew up in Nassau County.
I grew up in Mineola, in Nassau County, so everything past 110 was out east. Everything past 110 was out east for me. I came out here not knowing anybody, being away from my family. I was angry, I was upset, I was pissed off, excuse me, you know, but that's really all the emotions I was dealing with. And I suppressed my emotions for so long with the drugs that experiencing everything was overwhelming at times.
It probably was so magnified.
It really was. I graduated the program in about 14 months. I was all set to actually move back home to Nassau County. My legal case was dismissed, and I finished, and I complied with everything. And then Father Frank offered me an opportunity to start working for him. And
because you had something so special to offer, obviously.
I don't know about that.
Well, I'll say it because I'm a mom and I can.
And it was the best decision I ever made. Through Father and through our chairman of the board, Charlie Russo.
He's amazing as well.
Yes, he
Can't
is.
say no to Charlie.
I sit on the boards of 2 charities now, and I do public relations for Hope House. And it's honestly been probably the most rewarding thing in my life.
Well, it doesn't get any better than that. That's an important story to tell. You bring a lot to the table as a person that was addicted and now in recovery, and you walk the walk and talk the talk. You do. You know, I can see why Father Frank wanted you here to talk to the people that watch Channel 18, of which there are many people that watch Channel 18. So that's a great story, you know, and we're happy to have you here, and I'm really looking forward to, you know, working with you at the War on Addiction at the amphitheater. So Steve told us that he was probably going to get emotional when he talked, so I have a handful of tissues, and you can't see that everybody behind the cameras and standing and watching is also pretty emotional as well. So that's a great story. That's a great story. So tell me what you think, what would be your wish to come out of this will be your first time involved with the War on Addiction.
Yes.
Tell me what, as a person that's in recovery, tell me what you hope happens on the 4th of July at the amphitheater.
You know, one of the biggest things is awareness. You know, years ago growing up, you know, everybody looked down on drug addicts, and it couldn't happen to them. It couldn't happen to their families. It wasn't in, you know, the nicer neighborhoods, if you want to say, on Long Island. And now if you turn around and look, it's in some of the best neighborhoods, some of the best school districts on Long Island, and it literally is affecting everybody.
It's probably touched practically every family on Long Island.
And if it doesn't touch you directly, it touches you indirectly with someone that you know. So,
you know, it's great that you say that, because I talk about the quality of life issues that arise. You know, I get the phone calls from regarding the quality of life issues arise from somebody that's addicted. They go through the cars, you know, they steal stuff off your property. You know, everybody has cameras on their house now because they're worried about people stealing stuff off their property and rifling through their cars. And, you know, so, I mean, it really, you just said it, if it hasn't impacted you directly, peripherally it's impacted, you know, from not just the addiction, but the quality of life issues that arise from it. So, you know, it's important that you pointed that out. I'm glad that you did. So, Bill, you know, this will be the 3rd one.
Correct.
Totally a different approach this time, kind of like a casual educational approach this time, kind of behind the scenes, but meeting many thousands of people and a different group of people that we normally would see at an event like this. What are your hopes from this one? The first year we walked at Cedar Beach.
Correct.
Last year there was a very emotional rally with some educational tables. And this year is completely different. So
I think what we're looking to do is make a difference in just one person's life, and that's our true goal. And how do we do that? We get out as much awareness and education as possible, so to people who maybe they've heard it, but to listen to a real life story like Stephen and what he's gone through. I remember my son saying, "Gee, Dad, I don't want people to know. This was 4 years ago and 5 years ago, and so much has changed. As you said, as everyone knows, it's affected every family, whether on Long Island or pretty much nationally.
Sure.
And it's affected families whether they know it or not at this point. You could have a neighbor or a cousin or a nephew or a grandson or something that has issues, and you may not know it, but they're there. And a lot of times, and I think if Father Frank was here, he would talk more to the fact that it could be starting with anxiety or depression or some type of OCD or mental illness, even slight. And and how can I be able to have one beer or take one pain pill if I went to a dentist and not become addicted? So it's an education with doctors, it's an education with families, and making sure you put prescription medicine, lock it up.
Absolutely.
And
we talk about that a lot. And dispose of it properly, make sure, because the people are experimenting out of medicine cabinets. And you don't know if you're going to have, if the switch is going to flip and you're going to become addicted. And so often we talk about that. So many times this addiction starts with a pain pill prescription from an injury. And it's a spiral downhill from there. You're great. Look at you, raised from a wonderful family, and you were injured at work, and you were arrested. I mean, how many years did that take?
It was a slow progression over almost 5 years.
Yeah.
And it just slowly ate me away.
And it's also important that we talk about that the more education we provide. And I commend you for always mixing up the war on addiction and how you want to approach it. So the demographic that you meet is completely different each time. I think the more we talk about it, the larger group of people that are exposed to it, we tear away the shame of addiction, because so many people so many family members are embarrassed and they don't want anybody to know. But if you're behind the shadows, and your curtains are closed, you can't get the help that you need. If fear and shame and embarrassment are driving you, then the person that is struggling is not going to get the help that they need. So I think it's important, and I'll say it again. I think it's amazing that out of such pain for both of you, quite frankly. Here you are, educating the public and mixing it up. So, Bill, you provided some public service announcements for the people that watch Channel 18 to see. Why don't we take a look at those now?
It's who we love. And at a time when we have never seemed more divided, a common enemy is killing our loved ones. It doesn't care about our differences or disagreements, about red states, blue states, black lives, or white privilege. It's a threat to each and every child. It is addiction. But if we commit the time, the talent, and the money, we can protect our kids. Prevention worked for measles, malaria, and polio. Prevention worked to shrink our smoking habit. Prevention works. Life can be painful for our kids, especially in these times. But we can teach them resilience and how to make healthy choices. When we act early, we can prevent addiction. Support prevention efforts in your school and community. Start the conversation. Talking to your kids about drugs isn't easy, but we can help.
And I'd like to just summarize what we talked about. We've got a War on Addiction at the Brookhaven Amphitheater, 4th of July, a Thursday night from 5:30 to 9:30. So it's concerts, free concerts, fundraiser, educational awareness for drug addiction.
And fireworks.
Fireworks at the end, and we're going to have a great evening. If you'd like to visit the website, it's waronaddictionrally.com. We have opportunities for sponsorships and everything benefits Hope House. As we mentioned, they need as much help as they can get. I understand that when Stephen went through the program, and for every other young man, there's no charge to what Father Frank does.
It's what Father Frank raises, and I'll never forget a figure he told me when we taped the first one, when we did the walk down at Cedar Beach. He spends $50,000 a year just on milk.
Yes,
he told me. So the $100,000 that you've raised, you provided milk for 2 years.
Yeah, and we're proud. We're proud. And,
so you can't even imagine. $50,000 just on milk. So and nobody is charged. So I think it's
doesn't
important.
Cost a dollar to the families, the insurance companies, nothing. We don't accept anything like that.
And so every dollar that's raised truly goes back. I mean, people talk about how they like to donate their dollars, the causes that they prefer to donate. My husband and I have favorite ones that we donate to. I can't think of anyone that's more worthwhile than Hope House Ministries. And here's Stephen sitting here as a graduate of the program and now representing them on 2 boards and out at community meetings. Now you're going to be famous from Channel 18. You won't believe the people that'll, say, hey, I watched you on Channel 18. It will happen, Steve. It will. People have approached Bill, saw you on Channel 18. So we're really looking forward to the new approach on the 4th of July at the amphitheater. So we encourage everybody to come to 4th of July. It's free fireworks, it's free music. The whole event is free to the public, and you'll learn a little bit about war on addiction as well. Thank you guys for coming very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.